Alright, here goes part two. Sorry for ending the last video so abruptly. I'll keep that in mind in the future when recording. I'm still kind of new to this. I just wanted to kind of speak about some of the cards I'm really interested in. But didn't think about exactly how I was going to do it. But let's continue. Yugioh Drake Mord. I believe that's how it's pronounced. That's how I've pronounced it since I was a kid. That's how I'm going to continue to pronounce it. This was one of my favorite cards starting Yu-Gi-Oh! Because it was the card that was shut down pretty much everybody that I played against. I mean, nobody really ran like, as far as the people I played with, nobody really ran like spell and trap removal at that time. Plus, it was very limited. There was MST, what's it called? Spell remover, trap remover, I believe they were called. But this is an equipped magic card. Look, that shows you how old it is. It still says magic card on the top. But it says a monster equipped with this card cannot attack. Destroy the monster at the end of the second turn of the player controlling the monster. At that time, this card is returned to the owner hand. So, I got a thing for reoccurring cards. Like Scrap Iron, there was Rainbow Karibo, there was the Time Lord Mateon, and Yugioh Drakmord. So after it blows up the monster, after its second turn, it returns to my hand so I can use it again and badger somebody else's monster. Now this card is way too slow for playing today, and I have like the older version of Yugioh Pro on my phone. There's still people online and stuff, and occasionally I can slip this in my deck and do something with it, because most people that I've played against, they rely on one or two cards, and like even if they can't be blown up by a card effect, just keep a big body on the field that can't attack or nothing. They gotta find ways to get rid of it if they don't have the removal immediately or something like that. So yeah, Yugioh Drakmord. Creature swap. Now this is, I love this card because I tend to run decks that are heavily saturated with low level monsters that have effects when they're blown up or removed from the field, or have ways to bring them back to do other things, and sometimes just to get me out of a jam if I'm up against a big monster. And like I have a funny story to share with this card actually. One time I was running my Ojama deck and I played against a Blue Eyes Chaos Max deck, and of course Chaos Max can't be targeted by anything. It can't be destroyed by card effects, and if it attacks anything in defense position, it does double piercing. And it has 4,000 attack. Ojamas have 1,000 defense. So if it was to attack my Ojama Blue, which is what I had on the field, in defense, it would do 6,000 damage. And you know how Blue Eyes can go off if you don't brick. If you build your deck properly, I'll say that, because I've ran Blue Eyes in many different variants, and you know it was rare that I bricked. I always had ways to get them out of my hand if I couldn't do anything with them, and be able to reuse them later if I needed to and such. But I summoned my Ojama Blue into defense mode and used creature swap on, and he only had the Chaos Max on the field, so I got his Blue Eyes Chaos Max, and he got my Ojama in defense. I attack into it and do 6,000 points of damage. The Ojama go to the graveyard, and then I get to add 2 cards from my deck to my hand with Ojama in the name. Actually, I'm sorry about that. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, I had the Ojama field spell in the field as well. So, no, I'm lying, I'm lying. I didn't have it that time. Because that would have dropped Chaos Max attack to 0. Which I could have ran into it with the Ojama that way, but I just wanted to be cheeky. We had a good laugh about it. Like, we LOL'd back and forth, and he was like, damn, like, I didn't expect that, and yeah, it was funny. But basically, it's a non-targeting switch card. You pick one of your monsters, your opponent pick one of their monsters, and y'all exchange them. That's what Creature Swap does. The next one is Supply Squad. I love Supply Squad. Some people are very hot and cold about it. I mean, super meta people don't like it in most instances because they call it a do-nothing card. You activate it and it does nothing immediately, so they prefer not to run it. I run it because especially in my decks that have over 40 cards in it, because it helps me to cycle through some cards that are not as searchable. And also, if you got 3 of them on the field and you're running something like True Kings and you're blowing up your own cards or whatever, you get to draw 3 cards off of that, search a card off of the True King field spell. And, on the opponent's turn, if it's also one of those cards the opponent has to decide whether or not it's worth using a resource to get rid of it. So that's something I've always loved about it. Basically, once per turn, if a monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, draw a card. Simple enough. It's only once per turn, which, I guess they had to have something to hinder it, because imagine if you just get to draw a card every time one of your monsters are destroyed. It would be broken, it would be banned. People would hate it. They'd be like, look, man, we'll bring back Pot of Greed, just get rid of Supply Squad, because, it'd be too easily abused that way. There's a lot of cards that blow themselves up or blow other cards up and give you advantage, like the example I just gave. Alright, that's Supply Squad. Zombow Wow. It's a little level 2 zombie monster. I've seen it when I was younger. I just never really thought of a plausible use for it. But after building a deck around it and this card, Box of Friends, when I found Box of Friends, I immediately thought of this, and I was like, oh, I can actually do something with that. Zombow Wow says, when this card declares an attack, it gains 500 attack points, which will bring it up to 1500 off of its first attack. If this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, special summon one level 1 monster with 0 attack and defense from your deck. Its effects are negated, and it's destroyed during your next end phase. So, if Zombow Wow is blown up, it could special summon Box of Friends from your deck. And that says, if this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon from your deck 2 normal monsters with different names whose attack or defense is 0 and face-up defense position. You can only use the effect once per turn. Monsters special summoned by this effect cannot be used as synchro material monsters. Also, they're destroyed during your next end phase. Excuse me. So, you can kind of see where the little combo of that comes from. Also, if you add in Supply Squad and that combo right there, and speaking back to the True Kings, I fidgeted with that for a while. Built a somewhat consistent deck that was a rank 3 and 4 spam deck, because there's a lot of level 4 normal monsters with 0 attack or defense that could be used from Box of Friends. And with that being destroyed, you get those 2, plus you get to draw a card from Supply Squad. And I just got some examples here of targets for Box of Friends. Alexandrite Dragon, 2000 attack. Now they go into defense position when they're summoned, but a 2000, I'm lying, not Alexandrite. He has 100 defense. But there's a zombie called Zombino, I believe. That's basically Alexandrite, but with 0 defense. And there were a couple other ones. I thought Alexandrite was one that I used to use, but I suppose not. It doesn't have 0 defense. But looking through my cards, I found the World Chalice Monsters. And I noticed that these 3 vanilla ones have either 0 attack or 0 defense. And I was like, hey, I'm going to try something with them because I don't know what the World Chalice cards do, but, you know, it's worth looking into now that I have another target for my box of friends. And, of course, it helps you go into easy rank 4s, like Dark Rebellion, XYZ Dragon, or Utopia, and then Utopia to Lightning if you're in a tough situation, or Baguska if there's just a whole bunch of stuff going on and you want your opponent's monsters effects cut off. You know, there's a lot of things that you can do with it. And then you got the for the rank 3s, you got the Phantom Knights XYZ monster. There's also one for the rank 2 engine that I run and my Ojama Raccoon deck that can negate a monster's effect by detaching 2 materials, and it also makes their attack point 0, so get you out of some tough situations. So you got, with these guys, you got the option of 3, 4, and 2, which if I come up with anything cool, I will try it out on Yugioh Pro and record it and post it on here to share with you guys. All right. So the last couple of cards that I'm going through, Zombie Master. A staple on pretty much any revival zombie deck. He has 1800 attack. It says once per turn you can send 1 monster card from your hand to the graveyard. Special summon 1 level 4 lower zombie type monster from either player's graveyard. Now the cool thing with him is if you couple that with Zombie World, it turns all the monsters on the field and in the graveyard into zombie types, even your opponents. So like if you want to take a monster from your opponent's graveyard with Zombie World out, as long as it's level 4 or lower, you can do that by activating Zombie Master's effect. There's Zombino, that's the card I was talking about. See, 2000 attack, 0 defense. Makes another good target for a box of friends as well. I think I'm going to tinker with that as well, because that opens up the option of maybe splashing in a zombie engine, which I have a Synchro and XYZ variant. I haven't tried the Vendreads, and I haven't really gotten into the Link monsters just yet, but eventually I do want to try them out. I know I'm like mad late on that. I have a couple of them, but I just, I'm kind of stuck in my ways. I just started accepting pendulums, and then I look at the game and they're like, oh, Link monsters are a thing. Alright, the last card underneath here is Bone Crusher, which is one of my favorite targets for Zombie Master, because when it's special summoned from the graveyard by a zombie type monster, you can destroy 1 spell or trap your opponent controls during the turn. Destroy this card during the end phase of the turn that it was special summoned. So, you bring him back by discarding a card. You get a monster in its place, so it's you're not losing anything, and then you get to pop an opponent's card. So technically, it's a +1. And then if you go into an XYZ play and go from there, some fun stuff can happen. All right, so these are some of my favorite cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! From when I was younger until the present. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. This is Izzy. All right, I'm out.